Hello, I'm Eirik and I'm from NGS, and with me is John Romero from Romero Games, and we are situated at Vanha Kerho in Kajaani, Finland.
Excellent.
Excellent. How's it been? How's it going?
Great. Yeah, it's fun.
Have you enjoyed your time here in Kajaani so far?
So far, so good. Yeah, I like the conference.
Yeah, nice. Good to hear. You arrived last night, wasn't it?
I was, hung out last night, had some pizza.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw you actually there as well. Have you been here in Finland before?
I've never been to Finland before.
Never been in
Nope.
Finland? Have you been this far north at least? Or
Geez. I don't know. Is it Stockholm?
Stockholm is more southern.
Then probably not.
So you know, actually.
Yeah. This might be the farthest north I've been.
Oh, that's cool. Is there something you would like to see from here around the area or Finland? Since it's completely new for you and so forth.
Yeah, there isn't anything that I went like, oh, here's a list of stuff I gotta do, you know?
Yeah, no bucket list so far. But
Yeah, I don't have a bucket list yet, but I get to visit a lot of countries in Europe, so it's like slowly I go and do stuff. I usually don't go out all over the place when I go places because I want to do that with my wife. I want her to see places too. So,
yeah, fair enough.
So I try to kind of avoid seeing too many cool things.
So you don't just go, hey, here's this cool thing and this cool thing.
Look at all these memories that I have without you.
You want to experience them as well.
Yeah.
That's understandable. But actually, since you mentioned that you've been traveling all around Europe and been all these events, what's the funniest thing that has happened to you here in events?
Funniest thing, probably in I think it was Wrocław in Poland. I was with a friend of mine who's from St. Petersburg, Russia, and he's an American guy. He's running an art, he's running an art outsource there. Anyway, we were at the Digital Dragons last year, and I wanted to just go to have pizza, right? Just want to go have pizza. And he said, "There's a great place. I know about it, and it's like miles away from the crazy Digital Dragons. There's so much going on there."
Yeah.
So we went miles away, and then we went to this really nice pizza place. And so we were basically having pizza miles away from this place. And he asked me, "So why Ireland? Why did you even move there?"
Yeah.
So I spent probably half an hour telling him how awesome Ireland is, and then at the next table, a guy gets up and he comes around because he's leaving, and he goes, he basically said, "I couldn't have said it better myself," and he's an Irish guy, and he walked out and was like, "What are you? What's an Irish guy doing over here in Wrocław?
What's going on?"
I know. And then two people came over to get a signature, to get an autograph. It's like, what? I'm like miles away from the event. What is going on?
People just recognized you instantly.
I guess so. Yeah, the real shooters, an FPS country,
Yeah, I mean, Poland is pretty big on the FPS front.
Yeah.
But that actually leads me to something I came to think of. They recognize you from miles away from the event place. And you've been in the industry for quite a long time now, over 20 years, almost 30 years. You're about to turn 50 yourself. How does this feel for you? How does it feel to be such a people look up to you even to this day over so many years? How does it feel like to you?
I mean, it feels great. I love it. I like the fact that I can tell people stuff and they listen. And I can tell them why. Oh, you should probably do this because blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I saw this before, and this has happened, and that, and so it's mostly just giving people information is really great, and people, I guess they find out that there's more than just I did more than what they think I did on stuff, like running 9 companies and doing a ton of business in VC, venture raise, and just a lot of things. So the more I get out, the more that I can talk about stuff I've done, the more people know, and then they have more questions.
So it's basically great to be able to share your experience and people want to listen to you as well.
Exactly.
Oh, that's cool. That's pretty good. Regarding that, actually, would you have any tips for new aspiring developers, since you have the experience behind you? What would you give them as a tip?
I would say make 2D games at the very beginning, make a bunch of really small games, just try to complete those little games.
So something like
Space
Doom.
Invaders, Doom. Not Doom.
yeah.
Space Invaders, Pac-Man. That's difficult. People that haven't programmed games before trying to make Pac-Man with 4 different ghost AIs, getting your eyeballs back into the center, the way that the collision detection works. It's a lot of work to try and just replicate Pac-Man. But don't even try to start with Pac-Man. Just start with Pong.
Yeah, just
try to
make
make
sure
Pong
that you
work.
can make the moving platforms.
Yeah, in bouncing, and scoring and stuff, and just the act of completing the game is the hard part. That's like the hardest part, is to say, okay, everything works with this game. It's done exactly the way I want it to be. We're finished.
Yeah, you don't get this point that, I just want to add this one more thing. You just have to be able to say, okay, this is good, this is done, now ship it.
Yeah, and the ship it part that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Here's the feature set, and now we're gonna make it, and it's all gonna work, and now that there's no bugs, we can now put it out, right?
Yeah, I think you mentioned last night something about people who just make and make and make, but never ship something.
Yeah.
Wasn't that right?
Yeah, you need to ship, you need to get stuff out, you need to know how to do it, which is why it's good to just make a lot of games in general.
Yeah.
You get really great at the details that are required to actually ship a game. There's a lot of it. It's like, if you want to make Pac-Man in one night, you can actually make it work, but that's not shipping it. That's just making the cool, fun part work, and not the horrible, boring part, which is probably the title screen with all the animation on it and little characters going across and scoring and timing, all the timing involved in trying to replicate just that title screen. It's a lot of work to just do that stuff. It's real fun to make a maze work and make you move around in a maze. That's kind of the easy part.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Being developing games myself and trying to get the game out. After you have the gameplay done, and then you start okay, we need to make sure that the things around the gameplay is good, and then the community is fine and happy. And it's a lot of work.
Oh yeah, especially outside the game, the community part, and marketing and stuff. That's a lot of extra stuff.
Yeah, and people usually don't think about that. They will just go, I'm just gonna make this game and throw it out and it's be all fine and dandy. But suddenly they realize, I need to actually do things around here, and I never thought about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. Just try and put a game on Steam.
Yeah,
fill out all that data.
It was like fill out a lot of data, then submit. It was still when green light was on. It was like fill out all the stuff, then throw it on green light, then start watching. Do we get enough votes? How do we make this page look fancy? All the stuff you didn't think about when you actually started making the game, but then decided to release that. It's like all this extra work that you didn't think about.
Especially if you're going to do the cards, the card game thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a
lot of assets.
Yeah. Speaking of this part, is there any sort of a skill that you have noticed over the years that you needed, but you never expected that you would need? Is there something that popped up that you would have to use, but didn't realize that you need it over there in this career?
Well, I think a lot of people don't understand that they need to learn how to touch type. They need to be able to type without looking at the keyboard. That's super important for a programmer. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything done doing this, So that's basic. And I've seen a lot of people using computers that are still looking at their keyboard while they type. Yeah. And touch typing touch typing is something that it's not hard to do. You just have to force yourself to do it. You know?
Just get the muscle memory down.
You just have to get it done. You only need to get it done once and forever. You're finished doing that, and then you're just you're going as fast as you can think. You get so much more done. And I learned how to type on a manual typewriter where you couldn't type very fast, or the keys would go and get stuck.
Yeah, I actually, when I was a kid, I would play with those, and it was all the fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's actually a pretty good tip. I didn't think about it.
It's so basic. It's one of those things. It's almost like, hey, how fast is your computer? Oh, let's worry about the CPU and all this stuff. How about memory weight states? How about you worry about how fast you can get stuff in and out of memory? Yeah. If you have crappy memory, it doesn't matter how fast your CPU is. It's
there's always that little bottleneck that people don't think about.
Exactly. What's the bottleneck? Typing is a bottleneck. If you can't touch type,
That's pretty true.
You've never heard that one before, I'm sure.
I've actually never heard about that. When I've been coding a little bit, I'm not a programmer myself. I'm just purely a designer. But when I've been programming, it's always like, okay, what I'm typing, it's correct. Yes, typing correct.
Yeah.
And it's actually really slow when I think about it. So touch typing.
Yeah, when you learn how to touch type, one of the ways that you learn how to touch type is you're just reading from a page over here and typing it as fast as you possibly can, to the point, like when you actually are kind of done learning how to touch type, you're not even thinking about what you're doing. It's just coming out your hands and you're not even looking at the words anymore.
Yeah, it just becomes like you got into this flow zone.
Yeah, exactly. So touch typing puts you into flow when they teach you how to do it. Yeah.
I need to pick that one up myself, actually. Hey.
You know, a lot more typed out.
Yeah, pretty much. Going back towards a little bit of your career, a bit of the past and then a bit of the future, is there a project that you feel like if you could redo today, you would like to go back and redo
Daikatana. Very easy one to answer.
Yeah, very easy one.
One of the things that people don't know about Daikatana.
The juicy details.
Most people don't know this about the game because I don't go out. I don't disparage the team that made it, and it was actually almost two teams because part of the first team left, and due to all kinds of other fun things, and then I had to rehire new people. But the team that made Daikatana had never made a game in their life before. Nobody on the team had ever made a game.
Ooh, so they had a lot of pressure.
Except for me. I was the only one on the team that ever shipped tons and tons of games, right? Dozens at that point, 80, 90 games, something like that. Because Wolfenstein was number 87, so it was a ton of games. And I hired people who were modders because they had massive amounts of passion, right?
Yeah.
So lots of passion, never shipped a game. So I had a team of passion, a team full of passion with no experience. And so that's how Daikatana got shipped, was just sheer hours of people with passion trying to keep that passion while they're slamming themselves into walls constantly trying to learn how to make a big game,
Yeah, all the pressure building out. Like, I want to make this passionate thing, but I have this old pressure and I don't know how to work around this.
Yeah. There wasn't a ton of pressure on people, but the pressure was, I don't know how to do this, and I guess I'm just going to keep on doing this and get better while I'm doing it. So it was almost like a school making that game for these people. But that game was made without anybody with experience on it, except for me.
Actually, when you mentioned that school, you mentioned a few times during your speak as well about you teach students. Can you elaborate a little bit on this one?
So let's see. There's a game college in Dallas that's called the Guildhall, SMU, the Guildhall at SMU. And I started the Guildhall. It was my idea to start that college because we have DigiPen in Seattle, we had Full Sail in Florida, we had nothing in Dallas, and I wanted to hire people from locally, and I wanted also, if I was going to start my own university, I wanted to make sure that level design was going to be a degree. You could get a degree in level design because it is a deep subject.
It is,
right?
Very deep subject.
And people don't treat it. They think it's just part of game design. When
just make a path and it'll be fine.
Yeah, no, it's a super deep subject, right? So it is a track. There's programming track, art track, and level design track. And so lots of people have, over the last 15 years since the school's been open, lots of level designers have graduated out of there, and they've worked on Fear and all kinds of FPSs and other games. But it was important to me, and since then, I basically worked at UTD Dallas. I did a semester of teaching people how to do programming, basically. Yeah. It was supposed to be a cross-platform programming thing until I found out that it needed to be just basic programming. But then at UCSC in California, my wife and I ran a master's degree program where fourth-year students would graduate, and then they come into the master's program, which is just a one-year degree to basically learn design, because they went through and got a computer science degree, so they know how to code, which they had to know to get into our program, or they're not going to make anything, right? Yeah. So all of these coders come in to learn how important design is. So they all come in, and then it's like, okay, it's great that you guys got a degree in programming because it's a really good way of making a living, even if you're not doing games. It's good money, but at the end of the day, it's only about design, and programming just helps design happen.
Yeah.
So that was then it was like, now we're going to teach you what design's all about, and you're going to use your programming to make cool games.
Yeah. But on the flip side, for a designer, being able to program is also a really helpful asset.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah,
pretty much anybody learning how to do any kind of basic code is useful.
Yeah, it is true. I said I was gonna go for a little bit of future. So, and it's a pretty current aspect going on. What do you think of mobile gaming right about now? You've been doing Facebook games a little bit in the past, but you haven't really done mobile games except for Engage. So, what do you think of mobile gaming today?
Well, today it's so much easier than it used to be. When I was doing mobile gaming in 2001, we actually did ship about 15 games on mobile. I just mentioned the N-Gage because it was the only 3D shooter that I had made on a mobile platform, but we made lots of stuff before that. That was actually the last one of that generation that I had made was Red Faction, but before Red Faction was Hyperspace Delivery Boy and all kinds of other, brew games, a lot of brew games. And then the iPhone comes out and it's like unbelievably great. And now there's engines on mobile, lots of engines on mobile.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much easier to actually get stuff done, but not just that, but actually to put it out there. You don't have to go to the handset manufacturers or the carriers. Like you had to go to Verizon to put a game out before. Yeah. Now you don't ever have to do that. You just upload it to the App Store.
Yeah, and then you just get all the marketing and viral through that.
Yeah, so now it's just getting down to marketing,
Again.
and user acquisition. So
back to the people.
So those are the important things. But if you have a really great game, it doesn't matter. People will go nuts on it. And if it's really great, Apple's going to push it. And that's user acquisition right there. As soon as Apple throws you up on the thing, and even with iOS 11's redesigned App Store, it's even more interesting because now you can read stories behind the games, the people behind the games. So they've done a great job redesigning the whole App Store to be a place that you want to go to read things versus just scan for apps. It's a totally different feeling now.
It allows you to actually see what you're getting instead of just...
Yeah, but you can also just read about the making of a game and what it was like to make a game. Like interview with John Blow about The Witness and read all about this big interview with John Blow about The Witness, cool photos and stuff. It's like they've totally turned it into like a magazine, and every day is just more data, just blah. They have months worth of backlog to just keep on pushing information out there. It's pretty cool.
That's not bad, actually.
Yeah. Maybe. So it's turned into a really cool ecosystem now with that information. Now people feel something about the people behind the games.
All right. Well, it seems that there's going to be something to eat soon, so we're going to wrap this up about here.
All right.
I think that's going to be it. Just one last question. What is your favorite Finnish game?
My favorite Finnish game.
Favorite Finnish game.
God, my favorite Finnish game. I don't know what the latest Housemarque game would be, but I bet it's from Housemarque. I can't say that I've played any from Finland. Not any recent ones. Delta back in the 80s was pretty awesome, but I haven't paid attention to the latest games here, other than the cool stuff that they're presenting, the new stuff.
Maybe we can try to fix that tonight and show you a little bit of Finnish culture.
Cool.
But hey, thank you very much for the interview.
All right, yeah, it's fun.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
No problems.